Please follow along with me. I'm going to be reading from the Gospel of John, chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. Again, John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. And I'm going to be reading from the New International Version. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Dear woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My time has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." This, the first of his miraculous signs, Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. May the Lord grant us the understanding of this, his holy word. Please follow along on the opening prayer on the back of your joys and concerns list. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I have what it says I have. I can do what it says I can do. Today, I am ready to be taught the Word of God. I boldly confess that my soul is ready, that my mind is alert, and my heart is receptive. And all of God's children said, Jesus turns water into wine. Simple enough. Just your everyday run-of-the-mill miracle. I'm being sarcastic. Have any of you in your lifetime seen water turned into wine? Give me a show of hands. Anybody seen it? I mean, never seen it happen. Not a day in my life. Probably never will. I haven't, but just that this happened is amazing. It's a sign of things to come. Now, there's a lot going on in these short 11 verses, so I urge you to study the verses more on your own. Yes, you have homework, you teachers and former teachers out there. But what better place to be assigned homework than in God's house? Couldn't be any better. This morning, verses 1 through 3 tell us what's going to happen, what sets the stage for today's scriptures, and we'll read those again. On the third day, a wedding took place in Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." Now you may be wondering, what does that matter? So what if they ran out of wine? Well, we know little is known specifically about how a wedding was performed in the Holy Land in the first century, but we do know that the feast that they had, we can tell from historical documents that they might go on for a week. These wedding feasts, so it wasn't like a 1 or 2 day thing; it was a week. And to fail in proper hospitality was a serious offense in the Holy Land time. So when the wine was gone, it was more than just a minor social embarrassment. You might be at something today and maybe wine being served, and you might say, "Oh, that's no big deal." Back then it was a big deal. There was no great variety of beverages. You didn't go get a ginger ale, a Coke, a wine, or something else. It was pretty much water and wine. Those were the two things that were available to drink. So again, stage is set. There's a wedding. It's probably lasting a whole week. And all of a sudden, the wine runs out. Verse 4. "Dear woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My time has not yet come." Now, I wonder here's Jesus' mother. What if one of your children, you asked them to do something, they said, "Dear woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My time has not yet come." Yeah, you'd be like, "What? What are you talking about your time? What do you mean, don't dear? First off, dear calling me dear woman, that might not go over too well, right, Nanny?" But here's Jesus, and he's already starting. He hasn't performed his first miracle yet, but he's just starting to get into his ministry. And he's starting to let us know as we're reading through his life and watching it here in this Bible and learning from it, that there's more than just what's on the surface. So yes, he's changing water into wine, but there's some symbolism, excuse me, couldn't get it out. There's some symbolism in here. He's already saying my time has not yet come. And he's speaking of his crucifixion, what he has come here to do, what the Jews have been waiting for. We're going to find out in a little bit how long they've been waiting since they were exiled for a new Jerusalem. But again, dear woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my time has not yet come. Now, Jesus mentions his time not coming several more times. You can look this up later if you'd like. It's in John's gospel. He does it, 4 more times. He does it in chapter 7 3 times, verse 6, 8, and 30. And in chapter 8, he does it at verse 20. So there's 5 times in the gospel of John. He makes the point, my time has not yet come. So he's really setting the stage and trying to tell people something bigger and better is coming. They don't know what he means yet, but it's coming. So next, Jesus turns the water into wine. And we read verses 5 through 8. His mother said to his servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding for 20 to 30 gallons. As far as cleanliness, you all that are germ people out there that don't like germs, didn't use soap that much, but this was dusty, dry. There's no rain in this, not much rain in this area. So not only did they try to clean some, but the ceremonial washing was, and because this banquet was so long, you notice that they had to fill these water jars. They were washing their hands in between it, and they used water. Pretty much what they had. They didn't have soap at the time. So again, they're filling up the jars. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. And he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? Just take this. And the servants are thinking, what? Okay, your mom just said, we're out of wine. You had us fill this with water. And you're telling us to take the water over to the master of the banquet. They're confused right now. Like, what is this guy doing? We're probably going to get stoned or something because we're taking the master water. But he's expecting something else. Gosh, maybe we have some of those doubts sometimes too. I'm sure these servants are doubting, what's going to happen to me when I just take water up here to the master? So, but notice what happened. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. And he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now. Wow. Save the best till now. Again, the symbolism in here is starting to grow. Jesus is not just talking about the water into wine. He's also talking about himself. And in the context, you've got to remember that the Jews that are here in Jerusalem and the exile that they went through, they've been waiting a long time for this to happen, for the Messiah to come. So Jesus is saying here, yes, you've waited a long time. You've saved the best till now. So it's not just about the wine. He's speaking of himself also. And if you want to reference this, you can turn to Daniel. If you want to figure out from the exile that happened in Jerusalem till it was going to be rebuilt, Daniel chapter 9, verse 25, and it tells us, verse 24. 77s are decreed for your people and your holy city to find transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. So again, this is Daniel 9:24. So 77s. If you are a mathematician out there and can do that pretty quickly, what's that equal? Anybody? 77. What's that mean? 490. So 490 years they've had to wait since the fall of Jerusalem. So you can safely say they've been waiting a while, right? So here they are. They've been waiting 490 years, we're told. And here Jesus is saying, best till now. So he's given us more than just about the wine. I wonder, and many proclaim again that the miracle of Jesus turning water into wine is a sign of Jesus' mission to come. Is he telling us more? It's his calling to save the world. We are saving the best until last. Let's read what happens next in our scripture verses. Verse 11. This, the first of Jesus' miraculous signs, and all throughout the Bible, John calls the miracles signs, Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory. Notice the last sentence. And his disciples put their faith in him. I think that the signs are amazing. And like I've shared with you before, you are a miracle. Think about it. The gift of life, as I've shared with you, is a miracle. You are made and grown into who you are today. And you're going to continue to grow. And things are going to continue to get older, right? Eventually, you'll get rid of this physical body and you will have a body that will last forever. So I want you, this is participatory message or a message this morning, okay? We're going to do a little bit of an exercise. I want you to put your hand out. You don't have to close your eyes or anything. Put your hand out like this, straight, as far as you can get it. Stretch it out there like you're grabbing $1 million was right in front of you, okay? Now I want you, man, where is it? Now I just want you to do this. Do a circle clockwise for me. Grace, come on, you're not participating. You're holding everybody up. Do a circle clockwise. Feels good, doesn't it? Work that arm around there. You're getting your physical therapy, right, Brooke? All right, stop. Oh, it's hurting your shoulder, isn't it, Bernie? All right, now go the opposite direction. Come on. Hey, you all online, y'all can do this too. You don't have your cameras on, but y'all should be doing this at home. Hey, keep moving it. Keep Grace, you're holding everybody up, whatever you're doing over there. There you go. All right, you can stop. Now, Ryan, Brooke, and Grace, and maybe some of their Julie does this a lot, anatomy, could tell us about how many neurons just worked in our brain to control the movement and how we were doing it. But I can tell you this, just looking it up, what you just did. Now, how long we did is probably even more. But just to get this, doing this, there are thousands and thousands of neurons firing off in your brain to make you do this. That allow, not really make, but allow you to do this. You know what's the neat part is? Did you have to think about it? You weren't sitting there going, go up a little more to the right, keep going, go to the left, go. Oh, that was you. Okay, you were thinking about it. Okay, but for most of us, we were not even thinking about it. We were just doing it. And that's why I had you sort of joking around, laughing, going the other direction, doing. You didn't have to think about it. Just think about the millions, maybe Ryan, Brooke, and Grace, and Julie, and maybe the rest of you all, they're healthcare people, you all could tell us, maybe even millions. I'm going to guess thousands, what I looked up really quickly. Thousands of neurons firing off, telling your muscles what to do, just to be able to do this. In my mind, that's a miracle in and of itself. I mean, we don't have to think about it, and here we are just moving on. And then if you, let's say you're moving your arm around, you start doing your fingers like that. Think of the many more movements and all the muscles and tendons and everything. And you know what? When it doesn't work, that's when you're like, oh man, this burner was, my shoulder's hurting a little bit. Things don't work like that where you become mindful. And maybe sometimes we take for granted how good we have. I mean, in my mind, when you think about it, it's a miracle that we're just able to do this and then move our arms the other way. As you are sitting here, you are a miracle. But I want to add that God is not done performing miracles in your life. He is going to work in your life, and He's going to work through you. He has a plan for your life if you're willing to follow it. He has a plan to work through you to help others, guide others, mold others. Notice what happens very, very last. And this message is powerful this morning. Faith. Jesus turned water into wine, and the disciples believed in him. This is the first of his miraculous signs Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. Family and friends, the same thing happens today. We experience the last as he's predicting Jesus. We have miracles each and every day. I mean, heck, think about it. Sleeping and getting up and what you do every day. Miracles in and of itself. And our faith begins and gets strengthened. We are experiencing miracles every day. Share the good news that everyday things like moving your arms is a miracle. And just think about it. Ask the person that is paralyzed and can't move their arms how important and special it would be to move their arms. You are a child of God. You are a miracle. You are loved by the greatest God in this world. And all of God's children said,